Joining me now is Julia, Manchester national politics reporter with our partners at The Hill. Julia, great to see you. So we just heard from Kelly there. Why is Nikki Haley appealing to these more moderate voters now?
You know, Nichole, I think she definitely has a message that sort of brings back memories of what we would think of as establishment candidates on the Republican side, such as George W. Bush, for example, the Bush era. And not saying that's necessarily a moderate choice. We know that George W. Bush and Nikki Haley are both very, very conservative. However, I think a lot of moderate voters are attracted to this idea of, something that's maybe closer to what they think is normal, which is an old school Republican like in the Bush era or before that. So I think that's part of it. I think also you have Nikki Haley, intentionally targeting these voters. You don't see as much of, Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis doing the same thing. Those candidates are more focused on the Republican primary base. But Nikki Haley from day one has run a very broad campaign.
All right. So Julia, why, though, does this seem to be happening now, this Haley surge? I mean, is this kind of just what happens when candidates are backed by those big money donors?
I think you're seeing a Haley surge, particularly in these matchups with Biden. And that's something her campaign can certainly point to, and they will certainly point to. However, you're also seeing Trump expanding his lead. I mean, you're seeing her surge to second place in some of these national polls. However, in Iowa, for the first time this cycle, according to that Des Moines Register poll, Trump is now over the 50% threshold. For the past few months, I've been talking to strategists and operatives out of Iowa and New Hampshire who have said, well, Trump doesn't have 50%. There's still leeway for DeSantis or a Haley to best him in those states or another candidate. However, now that he's over 50%, and there is a margin of error there of around 4 points, that means the window is closing for someone like Haley and DeSantis to leapfrog him in the polls. So you're seeing Haley surge, yes, but the question is, how much is she surging? Donald Trump is still, by and large, the front runner.
He really is. He's the front runner when we're talking about polling. This new poll, again, it's just that. It's a poll. No voting has happened yet. How worried is the Trump campaign behind the scenes? Because, of course, we know, they're not going to express any type of worry publicly.
Look, in terms of the primary polling that we're seeing, I think it looks optimistic for the Trump campaign because, Republican primary voters aren't looking at these head-to-head matchups, or at least they don't seem to be looking at these head-to-head matchup and seeing Haley beating Biden. That doesn't really seem to be informing their choice. In fact, in the Des Moines Register poll that we saw come out in Iowa, you saw that 70% of Trump supporters said they were firmly committed to supporting him, while only 30% said that they would be willing to change their mind. That number is flipped for Ron DeSantis, with 30% saying they were committed to him, 70% saying they would change his mind. And then for Nikki Haley, 35% said they were committed to her, 65% said they were open to changing their mind. So yes, of course, the Trump campaign is certainly looking ahead to, the general election and keeping all options open there. But I would say that the last two polls that come out have been good news, at least when it comes to the primary. And then in terms of the general election, a lot can happen between now and November.
Absolutely. Well, Julia, what about the Biden campaign? I mean, are strategists on his side prepared for what happens if the 2024 ballot is not the 2020 Biden-Trump rematch that it really seems like that campaign is betting on?
Yeah, look, the Trump and Biden campaigns seem very focused on this potential rematch between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, very much treating this already like it's a general election. At the same time, though, I think Democrats and those in Biden world are keeping their options open to the possibility of a Haley-Biden matchup. There's obviously President Trump has all of these unprecedented legal issues happening. We don't know how that's going to necessarily play out with the campaign. So there's questions there. But in terms of who they would rather run against, it seems like Haley and, talking to allies in that world, they've always seemed to be more afraid of someone like Haley or even a Ron DeSantis than they are of Donald Trump. That being said, though, there is polling that shows Donald Trump beating Joe Biden.
All right. Yeah, we will certainly see what happens. As you said, there's still a lot of time, a lot of weeks to go. All right, Julia Manchester, thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.